Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I am back and it is time for another Pro Starcraft 2 match. This is gonna be a good one that I am excited for because we have got some players that are always fun to watch, that have played in the past and have been very well matched opponents. And so, without further ado, in the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have got Stats playing for Afrika Starcraft 2. Stats, I believe, is nearing the end of his career, sadly, like many Korean pro players are. Gotta go do his military service, but I'm sure he'll be back after that. I think it's still a while out for Stats before that happens, but not too immediately. The player that I'm excited for, though, the guy that his ID you might or might not recognize right now. It's actually ByuN in the top left-hand side of the map. I think it's been like years and years since I've cast a ByuN game. I didn't ever really get a chance to cast him too much in the past, so I actually checked the channel. I'd cast one or two of his online cup games, and like a 2v2 that ByuN played in on the channel. And yeah, so I'm really excited to be casting ByuN. I've always been a fan of watching him, and so I'm just so excited that he's back. He's playing well, and if he's anything like the ByuN of old that we had, he's just gonna pop up and dominate in these online cups. For those of you unaware, it was ridiculous how many online cups ByuN won before he went on to win like BlizzCon. He just went on an absolute tear. When this guy grinds, he grinds. And when he plays, he is fast. So we've got one of the fastest Terran players in the world, if not the fastest Terran player. I'd say that, honestly, guys like Maru are very quick. Innovation's obviously very quick, but ByuN is the guy known for his micro, known for his speed. I'd say maybe Clem is comparable, because Clem's just like a really quick kid these days, but yeah, I'm just excited to see how ByuN's gonna play. Right now, he's going up against a dirty Stargate of Stats this match. And so, yeah, we'll see how dirty this is gonna be, if it's just gonna be like an Oracle, or if Stats will go full balls to the wall, proxy batteries and things like that. Probe almost makes it into ByuN's base. However, the Marine coming back for ByuN will be enough to shoo this probe away. ByuN has actually elected to go for a bit of a different build, not going right into a Reaper or anything like that, and instead just opted for the Marine, wanted the quick reactor. He's now got Hellions and a starport building, and interestingly enough, I'll say, he hid these extra buildings far enough away from the wall that Stats doesn't know that it's a factory, he doesn't know that it's a starport. All he saw was the very quick reactor, and so he's a little bit in the dark right now. Fortunately for Stats, though, he does have this very quick Oracle coming out, which could potentially get some very nice damage done. The Hellion is out for ByuN, scouting out. This is something that Korean Terrans do, and oh, the Hellion actually spots the Stargate. That's absolutely huge. That's a massive win for ByuN, having an identification of that coming. He might want to run his... Is he going to run his SCVs from his natural? I'm just not even going to say what ByuN might want to do. But yeah, there we go. Now he decides to run those SCVs. The Adepts are actually going to shade into the main base. Now, this could be problematic for ByuN, because in comes the Oracle, too. Uh-oh. This is really bad for ByuN. The Adepts, the Oracle, the combo, dealing massive amounts of damage, killing off all the Marines, all the while the Hellion back on Stats' side of the map actually kills off 5 probes, so evening the score a little bit, but this is still a very uncomfortable spot for ByuN. He probably feels naked right now, the fact that he's got just a Viking as a defensive tool, but thank God for that Hellion for ByuN. The fact that Stats didn't expect a random Hellion to be out on the map and was able to kill off 5 probes with it is absolutely huge. And so this game's already starting up. It's already being a little bit scrappy. However, a second Oracle, pardon me, is going to come in towards the natural. We see Stats try and target down one of those SCVs, but doesn't actually get one. So that's actually really good for ByuN, not losing any more workers. He's making another Viking, making a Cyclone to help defend against further Oracle harassment. The Vikings even caught one of these Oracles, is not going to get any hull damage done. But still, very nice way to even things up by ByuN. Like, without that Hellion, he'd be in so much trouble, but that Hellion really evened things up for him. as he did. I mean, he lost 7 SCVs, which isn't great, but then he's killed 6 probes this game, so that really evens it up. Now ByuN, he's actually going to land his Viking, run it into the main base of Stats, going to try and get some probe kills, and Vikings are very good at killing probes, so that's already 2 going down. The Viking's life may be forfeit doing this, but look at that, that's 4 probes. Maybe he can grab a Stalker or target down another probe. No, he doesn't quite get another probe, so a Viking for 4 probes. I'd say that's an alright trade for the Terran, not great, not terrible. But yeah. This game's already really starting to heat on up. The Liberator pops out, it bypasses the Phoenix, which is actually quite nice. Viking, Marine's gonna shoo these air units away though after 2 SCVs die. Looks like Stats might just recall this because of the Viking. The Viking can kill that Phoenix off. And now we see Stats is actually coming on in with his Stalkers, but there's a tank, there's a lot of Marines for ByuN. And look at this, the Viking's actually working away in these Oracles. There was no recall. No recall for Stats, so he's going to lose 1. Or he's going to lose just the Phoenix. Might lose one of those Oracles. Playing it really, really risky. But still keeps those precious Oracles alive. The Phoenix did its job, defended those Oracles. And now Stats is actually going to make another of those, interestingly enough. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, seeing as how we've got a ByuN game, can you guys go ahead and slap that like button? Liberator Harassment is going pretty well for ByuN too. Kills off a Stalker, so basically already paying for the Liberator. Not quite, but covering a good chunk of its cost. Now we'll see if he can get any further denied mining time. Might even get that Stalker. No, good control by Stats. So a little bit of lost mining time, 1 Stalker killed. That wasn't actually too bad at all for Stats. As the game continues on, though, we see ByuN. He does have his 3rd base just about done. Stats, of course, has been on his 3rd for quite a while at this point in the game. But that's still going all right for him. But yeah, now we take a look. There's sentries warping in for Stats. He's getting Blink. He's getting +1. Stim packs on the way. 3rd base is going to be floating on over. And so ByuN will be securing that up. He's got a very high Marine count as well. So right now, as far as the actual army goes, I really like ByuN's. I'm a little bit concerned if Stats eventually transitions into Colossus. But for now, Stats is just going to play with a lot of Blink Stalkers and things like that. And he is playing with a lot of Blink Stalkers, choosing to warp in more and more. Probably planning to get aggressive. ByuN's actually moving out before he's got Stim, so he probably wants to go back up that ramp again. He does not want to get cut in half with force field, so just gonna back on up to that siege tank. And yeah, you gotta wait for Stim pack there, ByuN. Taking a look, those Stats. He's feeling rather bold posturing like this. He has taken a little bit of Viking harassment though. 3 dead probes. The Viking actually gets away. That's nice for ByuN. We'll see if he uses that later. And Stats, he's actually just gonna get up a Templar Archives. Start warping in a few Zealots. So he'll probably be getting charge after the Blink. All in all, it's really hard to say who's ahead in this game. I honestly don't mind ByuN's position, because he is going to have that strong 1-1 bio now, and there's really no AoE for Stats. And bio's always done really good against that AoE, or the lack of AoE. There is no charge for Stats just yet, so that's going to be at least 100 seconds off. So he's got to be careful about taking a fight before that. Great Blink Stalker control, does manage to grab one of the medibacks of ByuN, so really well done there. The Marauders, the Mines, now starting to move on out for ByuN, looking for whatever he can get. Stats is actually going to move up this ramp, maybe force a bit of a base trade situation. Widow Mines are going to burrow for ByuN. He's going to hide by this siege tank. If the Mines can get some shots off, that would really go a long way to cleaning this up. But instead, ByuN is just electing to come on back. He might be able to get a bit of a surround on this army. I mean, Stats has warped in some Zealots to bolster his ranks, but keep in mind, there's still no charge, and Zealots without charge are just horribly, horribly ineffective. Great force fields go down from Stats to section out this army, so preventing a fight that he'd most certainly lose at this point. Things will be completely different once charge is done. But for now, Stats has got to be very, very careful, and he does know that. So he's backing off. He's throwing up a robo, throwing up a 4th base behind this since he can't take a fight right now. More force fields going down, locking out some of ByuN's army. ByuN bleeding off a few units here and there. Really great control by Stats. The Oracle's constantly tagging this Bioforce with Revelation, not giving ByuN any bit of room to really get anything done, as he's just being pressured by this odd army. Now, ByuN's going to try and dive on top of this, but there's still enough sentry energy for force field, so Stats should force field that out, and he does. However, he's actually short 1 force field, so a large portion of ByuN's army gets in. This is before charge is done. ByuN's charging forward. He's going to be picking off stalkers left, right, and center. He's able to tag a lot of those units with his concussive shell, which was a really big deal. That was a big loss there for ByuN. However, now charge is done. There's a counterattack going to be moving in for Stats, going to be heading towards the 3rd building 4th base, but the Widow Mines are going to get some really great connections on that army, start cleaning that up. ByuN's going for a counterattack. Stats' 4th base was canceled. ByuN's going to keep stimming forward, but there is High Templar, and they've got Psystorm. ByuN's army incredibly overstim, takes massive damage, and he's got to get on out of there. A good blink underneath this force, so by Stats to try and pounce underneath this army. ByuN, however, just unloads the Marauders, decides to trade on out. It will cost him virtually everything, though. He's basically cleaned up back at home, but man, that was a messy situation. The 4th base of Stats is getting re-established at a different location now. ByuN's got to go all the way home, though, after his army count was basically reset. Widowmine picks off that Oracle. That's nice. Stats can still rebuild another if he chooses, as he's got that Stargate. He's done a very good job using them. But for now, he does have to keep in mind that he doesn't have that constant revelation anymore, which will make picking the right engagement a little bit challenging for him. ByuN, he is going to be having that 4th base come online still, so he'll be able to get that up. He's got 2-2 on the way. He's going to be having enhanced shockwaves coming out too, so going to be able to use those ghosts against this Protoss force, picking off a Stalker. And Stats, he's got himself High Templar. He's got him in a Prism now too. So very good good tool there for Stats to get Psystorms off on the bio, but Storm is tough to rely on when you've only got Storm. You usually want like a Colossus or 2. In this case, Stats is relying on the Archons to be that extra AoE that'll really help finish off the units, and of course a boatload of Zealots. Stats microing with his Stalkers, getting what he can, but it seems like ByuN's trading out pretty well. ByuN's going to have to hightail it out of there, though, seeing as how there is that Prism, which is going to be able to drop the Psystorm. Ghost now pops out, though. We'll be able to EMP that Prism, EMP the Templar, potentially allow that to be picked off. But, oh, man, Stats is looking real feisty right now. Potentially going to go up this ramp into these Widow Mines is a little bit risky, or just go for the 4th base. We shall see. But it's a really big force from the Protoss player. This Protoss force looks a lot bigger than the Terran one right now. If ByuN can get this base into a planetary, he'll be feeling a little bit safer. And look at this, ByuN right now, he's even expecting the Colossus transition from Stats that's just starting to get underway potentially. It could always be Disruptors, but he's already making 4 Vikings. Maybe this is just to counter the Prism specifically, but a second starport just to counter a Prism with High Templar, and it does seem a little bit excessive. However, it could work wonders for ByuN, so we'll just have to wait and see. Can he get that big pick-off? An EMP and a couple of Viking shots will drop a Prism incredibly fast. And all of a sudden, if the Prism's gone, there's no Psystorm for Stats, and ByuN can crush the Protoss army. Stats, I guess maybe seeing the Vikings of ByuN, has decided to say, nope, just right into Disruptors I go. Maybe I can build Colossus later. ByuN's actually going to be pushing forward, though, with his Ghosts, with his Vikings. He's going to be dealing with this counterattack towards his 3rd base, and both players are actually very close to maxing out, so this game could very well come down to one big fight, one big Psystorm perhaps. We'll have to wait and see. Stats, though, is maybe feeling a little bit uncomfortable as far as taking a direct fight against ByuN, so he's actually going to force a base trade right now. Not a base trade, though, because ByuN's just going to go home, and this is basically just going to end up with the Terran being caught out. ByuN's got a few of his units that will actually hold in a fantastic position against this army, and so that's really well done by him. Now, where's the Prism for Stats? Okay, where is it? There it is. All right, Prism's on its way over. Still, that's the main thing to keep an eye on, whether there's the big Psystorms, whether the Prism just gets picked off. If the Prism's gone, Stats' army is looking very pathetic. We see ByuN moving forward with the Ghost, looking for some big EMPs. All he wants is a big volley off the Vikings to be able to pick off these High Templar, and so we actually see Stats starting to split up his Templar. Viking picks off the Prism, so now the Ghost or the Templar can be EMP'd, but Stats has expertly split up his Templar. He's got the Disruptors as extra AoE. ByuN's going to be pushed back by that, just loses a Ghost to the Nova. Going to be going in and out. However, he decides to go in once more. Going to eat a Psystorm. Has to back up, though, upon seeing another Templar. Going to be losing quite a few units. ByuN's taking a non-ideal fight right now. Another Nova goes off, getting a big shot on the army of ByuN. ByuN's got to retreat on home. Stats is playing an excellent game here. EMP is going down on the Stalkers, going to soften up this army, but a big Disruptor Nova going to force this army to lift up. ByuN's going to get out with units in his Medivac. But he's still got to be very, very careful. Another Disruptor shot can always come forward. He's got the Ghost. He can land the EMPs on the army. He's going to try and pick off the Disruptors. Picks off one, but another gets a connection off, so these players constantly trading out. However, it seems that trading out is a little bit in the favor of Stats right now, as he's already got that 5th base up and mining. ByuN does have a 5th base that's going to be floating over, which I do like to see. Not afraid to take the game later. We also see ByuN starting to go into the Mass Liberator play, which I do like to see. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen a Terran really rely on a ton of Liberators. Stats has got DTs moving towards this base. He's not going to attack that SCV. He's maybe just planning on jumping on one of these locations with the mass DT play that's ever so common these days. Disruptor Nova's going out in mass, going to chase this Terran army away. Liberator's going to be zoning out Stats' army. However, if we take a look, these DTs going to be given a lot of grief to ByuN. I mean, he's got to scan to clean these up. He's got to have enough units to clean them up. And so he's got to be very, very careful in that regard. He's moving back. Maybe he can get a good EMP off on them. Maybe he can get his Ghost to snipe them. We shall see, but for now, it looks like Stats going to move forward. His army's looking a lot bigger than ByuN on this front. We see the Stalkers just blink right underneath the Liberators. The Liberators are trying to get the shots off, but the Bio can't cover them because of the Disruptors. So Stats is pushing ByuN back all of a sudden. Not going to chase him up this ramp. ByuN can maybe target down a Disruptor or two. That would be nice. And he's actually getting a lot of Disruptors. Going to trade out pretty much his whole force once again. He's going to lift up his Ghosts. Maybe he can get them out alive. That's a huge pickup there, keeping 5 Ghosts alive still. And ByuN does have a lot of reinforcements that are rolling on out now. There's the Dark Templar, but I'm not sure if they're going to be the main component that Stats needs in this fight. He's just got 1 Disruptor, so a very, very minimal amount of AoE. He's making more Disruptors. He's got a couple of High Templar out, but they're not in this army to help out. Taking a look, we see ByuN is now going to be getting up that 5th base, but he's got to be careful. There's another big DT attack, and this is enough that can kill a PF if ByuN's not paying attention. So ByuN's just going to be focusing, pushing on forward with this attack, going to be looking to kill off the base of Stats. He very well can do, since there's not that much here for Stats. These 2 Disruptors have got a lot of work to do. We'll see if they get it done, all the while the DT is forced the lift off of that base. Disruptor shots going out. Looks like 1 big connection gets off. There's also High Templar coming from the south. Is there going to be a big Psystorm? All the while ByuN losing a ton of SCVs at his 3rd base. Marauders are splitting once again. It seems that ByuN's Medivacs are just going to try and heal the Bio through to deal with these Stalkers. It's going to be very, very close, but I think Stats does end up winning out in this trade, seeing as how ByuN doesn't have a 5th base. He just lost 28 SCVs, and that the Terran player isn't mining as much as he'd like to be. And Stats, he's got this his 6th base building up. So even though he lost his 5th, he's still going to be on 5 bases. ByuN's making what he can, but this is looking real good for Stats right now. It might just be down to 1 big fight for ByuN, but so far his trades haven't been what he needs. He's taken alright trades, but these Disruptors have always been getting alright connections. ByuN's going to charge forward. Good splits against that Disruptor. More and more Novas going out, though, but it looks like there's quite a bit of Protoss coming forward. The Bio is working through the DTs rather quickly, though, so those expensive units for Stats going down. ByuN's going to try and chase Stats all the way home. Looks like a tag going down on that Stalker. Looks like ByuN just chasing after these Disruptors, hoping they can't get the connections they need off. But, oh, there's a big Zealot Warp in the Bio. Can't risk loading into these very injured Medivacs, and Stats even taking the time to focus those down. ByuN's getting pushed all the way back, and it looks like Stats is going to be the one to take this game. Playing strong as usual. It seems that Stats saying, right, guy, I know you're very good. I know you've come back, that you're the guy everyone's talking about right now, but I'm the guy who's been here for years, winning tournaments, being known as the best Protoss in the world, and so you're not just going to come back overnight and just bop me or anything. I'm no pushover, basically, is what Stats is saying here. ByuN's going for that Liberator harassment. I don't think it's enough at this point, though. There's also 4 Stalkers here to already deal with this. You might get the Templar with the Liberator, which would be nice. Not quite, actually, due to the Templar getting out of the way in time. And ByuN's army just isn't that big anymore. He doesn't have enough of a force to secure up his 5th base, which is a very big conundrum for the Terran. Whereas Stats' economy is just looking real good. Widowmines are going to burrow at this 5th base location, so ByuN's going to try and secure this up, but he's still only on 40 SCVs. Stats is looking very good. There's no ghosts in this army anymore for ByuN, so he doesn't have any EMP. And then he's got to contend with all these High Templar. DT's blinking on top of the army. High Templar moving forward. Psystorm's going to go down. SCV is dying en masse, and ByuN's going to tap out as Stats takes the game. But man, what a game that was. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this match, make sure to go ahead, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Join the Discord if you haven't. You can also consider becoming a member. That's linked in the description. And if you do want to see more ByuN games, just write ByuN in the comments down below, and I will deliver that. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. This has been LaughNgamez.